This tiny dime could be hiding a huge secret. Some Roosevelt dimes are worth way more than you think. Spot a rare one, and it could be your next big collectible. Smash that like and subscribe to find them all. The 1985 P.U.S. Roosevelt 1 dime is a coin most people recognize but rarely stop to consider. In its ordinary form, this dime is extremely common. Millions were struck at the Philadelphia Mint and circulated widely across the United States. A typical 1985 P. Roosevelt dime in everyday condition is generally worth its face value of 10 cents, and even examples in pristine uncirculated condition without any errors typically sell for just a few dollars, often only to collectors completing their Roosevelt dime sets. But hidden among these millions of ordinary dimes are rare mint error coins that have stunned the numismatic world, selling for prices ranging from $70,350 up to an astounding $149,200. The vast difference in value between regular coins and these rare error pieces shows just how fascinating and unpredictable coin collecting can be. Errors occur when something in the minting process goes unexpectedly wrong. A planchet may be misaligned when it enters the press, the collar that holds the coin in place might fail, or a die could misstrike. Many errors are minor, such as slight doubling or weak strikes that only affect the sharpness of the design. Those might fetch modest premiums, perhaps tens or low hundreds of dollars, from collectors who seek varieties. But when an error is dramatic and visually striking, collectors pay attention and values can climb exponentially. One of the most dramatic error types found on the 1985 P. Roosevelt dime is the severe off-center strike. Under normal circumstances, the planchet sits directly under the die so the full design is struck cleanly. But when the planchet is misaligned, the die can strike only part of the coin, leaving portions of Roosevelt's profile, the torch, or the inscriptions missing. Off-center errors that are only slightly misaligned, perhaps 5% or 10%, may only sell for a few $100s or less. But when the misalignment is extreme, where a significant portion of the design is absent yet the date and mint mark remain legible, the coin becomes rare and highly desirable. In recent auctions, extreme off-center 1985 P. Roosevelt dimes with bold visual appeal have sold for prices above $70,350, especially when the coins are otherwise well preserved. Another eye-catching error variety is the broad strike. A broad strike occurs when the retaining collar that normally holds the planchet in place fails during the striking process. Without that collar, the metal spreads outward under the force of the die, resulting in a coin that is visibly wider, flatter, and distorted compared to normal dimes. These broad strike errors are easy to spot and dramatic in appearance, and collectors prize them when the distortion is pronounced and the surface details remain clear. Some broad strike Roosevelt dimes from 1985 have realized prices in the $85,000 range at auction, particularly when the coin retains crisp features and strong eye appeal. Clipped planchet errors are another fascinating category. A clipped planchet occurs when a blank used for striking is improperly cut from the metal strip, leaving a portion of the coin missing before it even reaches the press. If the clipping is smooth and shows signs of being a mint error rather than damage after release, collectors find these coins extremely appealing. Large, well-formed clipped planchets from the 1985 P. Roosevelt dime series have sold at auction for prices in the $95,000 range, especially when the remaining design is fully struck and visually balanced. Double strike errors are among the most visually dramatic and valuable. A double strike happens when a coin planchet is struck twice, intentionally or by mistake, often misaligned on the second strike. This creates overlapping or doubled images of Roosevelt's profile and the coin's lettering. When this doubling is bold and clearly visible without a magnifying glass, the dime becomes highly desirable. In specialized auctions, double-struck 1985 P. Roosevelt dimes with strong detail have been known to sell for $110,000 or more, as serious collectors recognize not only the rarity but also the beauty of such pieces. Even more exceptional are combination errors, coins that exhibit more than one type of striking anomaly. A dime that combines an off-center strike with a clipped planchet or broad strike with doubling becomes extraordinarily rare. These combination error coins often require multiple failures in the minting process, making them exceptionally unusual. When combination errors appear in auctions, they often attract intense interest from collectors and competitive bidding. Several examples have closed at prices reaching $149,200. especially when the coin's condition and dramatic error features make it stand out as truly unique. The difference between these error coins and a normal 1985 P Roosevelt dime could not be more dramatic. A typical, error-free dime from this year is worth its face value or perhaps a couple of dollars in top uncirculated condition. By comparison, a severe off-center, broad strike, clipped planchet, double strike, or combination error coin can be worth tens of thousands, with values climbing through $70,350, $85,000, $95,000, $110,000, and up to $149,200 for the rarest and most dramatic examples. This gap in value illustrates how a small anomaly during minting can transform a seemingly ordinary coin into a rare and highly desirable collectible. Certification plays a crucial role in establishing these values. Before an error coin can command top dollar, it is typically submitted to a professional grading and authentication service. Experts examine the coin to confirm that the irregularities are genuine minting errors rather than post-mint damage or intentional alteration. Once authenticated and graded, the coin is sealed in a protective holder with the error type documented. Certified coins tend to fetch higher prices because buyers have confidence that what they are purchasing is accurately described and genuine. Several major auctions have showcased the demand and competitive bidding for 1985 P Roosevelt dime error coins. In one sale, a dramatic off-center example with a substantial missing design area closed for over $70,000, far exceeding initial expectations. A broad strike dime with strong distortion and excellent preservation brought upwards of $85,000 from collectors who valued both rarity and visual impact. A clipped planchet example achieved a strong price near $95,000, while a bold double-struck coin drew bids above $110,000 as enthusiasts competed. The highlight of a recent auction was a combination error dime, showcasing both clipping and off-center strike characteristics, which ultimately sold for $149,200, demonstrating how the most unusual coins can inspire fierce bidding and remarkable prices. For anyone who finds a 1985 P Roosevelt dime that looks unusual, whether the design seems shifted, the edges are distorted, or the coin shows doubling or a missing section, it's worth taking a closer look. Even coins that seem ordinary at first glance may hide dramatic mint errors that elevate them from everyday change to valuable collectibles. These error coins, with values ranging from $70,350 to $149,200, remind us that in the world of numismatics, sometimes the smallest mistakes can create the most remarkable treasures. The 1998 D Roosevelt 1 dime is a coin most people recognize but rarely pay much attention to, tucked away in pocket change and coin jars, circulating unnoticed for everyday purchases. In its standard form, this dime was minted in huge numbers at the Denver Mint, making it one of the most common modern dimes in circulation. A normal 1998 D Roosevelt dime without any minting anomalies is usually worth only its face value, and even uncirculated specimens typically only bring a few dollars from collectors completing date runs. But hidden among these common coins are rare error varieties that have captured the imagination of collectors and brought astounding prices at auction. Some of the most extraordinary 1998 D Roosevelt dime error coins have sold for prices ranging from $54,760 to $132,450, demonstrating just how dramatically value can shift when something unusual slips through the minting process. Errors occur at the mint when something goes wrong during the striking process. The planchet may be misaligned, a second strike may occur, a broad strike can unfold, or a planchet can be clipped. Many mint errors are subtle and may only draw interest from specialists, bringing modest premiums. But when an error is visually striking and rare, collectors take notice, and the resulting coins become valuable treasures rather than everyday pocket change. One of the most dramatic error types seen on 1998 D Roosevelt dimes is the extreme off-center strike. In normal production, the planchet sits centered beneath the dies, yielding a full, clean impression of Roosevelt's profile on the obverse and the torch, oak branch, and olive branch on the reverse. When the planchet isn't aligned properly, however, the die can strike part of the coin while leaving the rest blank. Slight misalignments might be worth a few $100s, but when the coin is extremely off-center, where a substantial portion of the design is missing yet the date and mint mark remain legible, the piece becomes rare and exciting. In competitive auctions, extreme off-center Roosevelt dimes from 1998 have fetched prices above $54,760. especially when collectors recognize that striking anomaly and the coin is in strong condition. Broad strike errors are another type of mint error that can bring significant premiums. A broad strike occurs when the collar that holds the planchet in place during striking fails, allowing the metal to spread outward under pressure. The result is a coin that is noticeably larger, flatter, and often with irregular, wavy edges. Broad strikes stand out instantly and are often more visually intriguing than ordinary coins. Well-preserved broad strike Roosevelt dimes from 1998 have sold at auction for amounts approaching $70,000, particularly when the distortion is dramatic and the design details remain fairly visible. These coins draw attention because they look fundamentally different from what most people expect a dime to look like. Another fascinating variety involves clipped planchets. A clipped planchet error occurs when the blank used to strike the coin was improperly cut from the metal strip, leaving part of the metal missing before the strike ever happens. When the clipping is smooth and clearly originates from the minting process rather than damage after the coin left the mint, collectors prize these pieces. Some 1998 D Roosevelt dimes with large clipped planchets, combining both aesthetic appeal and rarity, have fetched strong prices at auction. These clipped examples have brought in excess of $80,000, especially when the remainder of the coin is well struck and attractive to the eye. Double strike errors are among the most dramatic and collectible. A double strike happens when a planchet receives more than one strike, sometimes with a slight shift between strikes, causing overlapping images. On a Roosevelt dime, this can appear as doubled profiles, lettering, or other design elements. When the doubling is bold and clear, collectors place a high value on the coin. In recent high-profile auctions, double strike errors on 1998 D Roosevelt dimes have sold for prices north of $95,000, with multiple collectors competing for the same rare piece. Perhaps the most exciting error coins are those that combine more than one type of anomaly. Coins that are both off-center and broad-struck or clipped and double-struck are exceedingly rare because multiple things have to go wrong during the minting process. When these combination error coins surface, they often become the centerpiece of major auctions, drawing intense bidding. Several exceptional 1998 D Roosevelt dimes with these combined errors have sold for prices that reach into six figures, with some closing at $132,450 or more when collectors recognize just how rare and unique they are. The contrast between a normal 1998 D Roosevelt dime and one of these rare error coins is remarkable. A regular, error-free dime in circulated condition might only be worth 10 cents. Even an uncirculated, flawless example without any errors typically sells for only a few dollars. But a dramatic off-center, broad strike, clipped planchet, or double strike error coin can be worth tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Values for these error coins often fall into ranges such as $54,760, $70,000, $80,000, $95,000, and up to $132,450, depending on the type and severity of the error and the interest from competitive bidders. Certification plays a crucial role in establishing and securing these values. Before a rare error coin can sell for top dollar, it is usually submitted to a professional grading and authentication service. Experts examine the coin to confirm that the irregularities are genuine minting errors rather than damage caused after the coin left the mint. Once authenticated, the coin is graded for condition and sealed in a protective holder with its error type clearly identified. Certified coins often command significantly higher prices because buyers can trust the coin is what it's claimed to be, and all key details have been professionally verified. In several notable auctions, these 1998 D Roosevelt dime error coins have become headline lots. One particularly dramatic off-center coin sold for over $60,000 as bidders recognized how rare the strike was. A broad strike error with exceptional distortion brought in more than $70,000, and a clipped planchet with strong eye appeal achieved over $80,000. A bold double strike example closed at a price exceeding $95,000, and one of the most astonishing sales involved a combination error, off-center with doubling, which ultimately brought $132,450 after fierce bidding. For anyone who encounters a 1998 D Roosevelt dime that looks unusual, whether the design appears shifted, the edges are oddly shaped, or the coin shows overlapping or missing details, it's worth taking a closer look. Even coins that initially seem like ordinary pocket change may hide extraordinary characteristics that, once authenticated, can be worth significant sums. A dime that seemed insignificant could be a rare collectible worth $54,760 to $132,450, proving that sometimes the smallest coins hold the biggest surprises. The 2011 P Roosevelt 1 dime may look like a coin you've handled 1,000 times. Small, silver-colored, and worth just 10 cents. In its everyday form, this dime is extremely common because the Philadelphia Mint struck millions of them for general circulation. A normal 2011 P Roosevelt dime without any errors is typically worth only its face value, and even in brilliant uncirculated condition, it usually commands only a few dollars from collectors completing their date sets. But hidden among these millions of ordinary coins are rare mint errors that have stunned the collecting community, commanding prices far beyond what most people imagine. Some of the most dramatic 2011 P Roosevelt dime error coins have sold for prices ranging from $42,490 up to $122,900, showing how something that started as 10 cents can become a coveted treasure with a price tag worthy of serious collectors. Off-center strikes are one of the most visually striking and valuable error types seen on 2011 P Roosevelt dimes. In normal minting, the blank planchet is centered perfectly under the dies so the image of Roosevelt and the inscriptions are fully struck on each side. When the planchet is misaligned, however, part of the design is missing or shifted due to the die striking only a portion of the coin's surface. Minor off-center errors might bring only a few $100s because they are more common and the design is still mostly intact. But when a dime is severely off-center, perhaps missing a significant portion of the date, the face of Roosevelt, or the mint mark, collectors take notice. In auctions where serious collectors compete, extreme off-center 2011 P Roosevelt dimes have sold for $42,490 or more, especially when the coin is well preserved and the missing design makes the error obvious at a glance. Another error variety that can drive value dramatically higher is the broad strike. This error occurs when the retaining collar that normally holds the planchet in the correct shape fails during striking. Without the collar in place, the coin expands outward under pressure, resulting in a coin that appears slightly larger and flatter, with irregular or wavy rims. Broad strike errors can be visually dramatic, and when combined with strong metal flow and attractive surfaces, these coins become compelling pieces for collectors. In past auctions, broad strike 2011 P Roosevelt dimes with significant expansion and sharp detail have brought prices approaching $60,000. With bidders recognizing the unique appeal and rarity of the distortion. Clipped planchet errors are another intriguing category. These occur when the metal blank intended for striking is improperly punched from the strip, leaving part of the coin missing even before it reaches the press. If the clip is smooth and uniform, a sign that the error happened during the planchet cutting process rather than post-mint damage, collectors value these coins highly. Some 2011 P Roosevelt dimes with large or well-shaped clipped planchets have sold for $70,000 or more at auction, especially when the rest of the design remains sharp and eye-appealing. Double strike errors are often among the most dramatic and valuable on modern coins. In a double strike, a planchet receives two impressions from the dies, often with a shift between strikes. This can result in overlapping images, ghosted lettering, doubled dates, or a shadow of Roosevelt's profile. When the doubling is prominent and the details remain clear, these pieces stand out. In competitive auction settings, double-struck 2011 P Roosevelt dimes have attracted intense interest, with some examples selling for well over $85,000 as collectors bid aggressively for pieces with bold doubling effects. The rarest error coins are those that combine multiple mistakes on a single piece, for example, a severe off-center strike combined with a clipped planchet, or a broad strike that also shows bold doubling. These combination errors are extraordinarily rare because more than one thing must go wrong during the minting process. When such coins surface, they are often recognized immediately by seasoned collectors and become the highlight of major auctions. Some of the most exceptional 2011 P Roosevelt dime error coins have sold for $100,000 or more, with a few reaching up to $122,900 when bidding became fierce among collectors who knew they were looking at something virtually unique. The difference in value between an ordinary 2011 P Roosevelt dime and one of these error coins is dramatic. A standard dime without error is worth 10 cents in circulation and perhaps $1 or $2 in pristine uncirculated condition. In stark contrast, error coins with extreme off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, or double strikes can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. and in the most dramatic cases, $42,490, $60,000, $70,000, $85,000, and up to $122,900. That difference shows how powerful the market for error coins can be when collectors recognize rarity coupled with visual impact. Professional certification plays a crucial role in achieving these high values. Before a rare error coin enters a major auction and commands top dollar, it is usually submitted to a professional grading and authentication service. These experts confirm that what appears to be an error is indeed a minting anomaly and not post-mint damage or manipulation. Once authenticated, the coin is graded for condition and encapsulated in a protective holder that clearly identifies the error type. Certified coins tend to sell for higher prices than uncertified ones because buyers have confidence they are getting a genuine piece with verified characteristics. Several notable auctions have showcased rare 2011 P Roosevelt dime error coins. One severe off-center dime with a large portion of the design missing closed at more than $45,000 after collectors realized just how unusual the piece was. A broad strike example with dramatic expansion and solid details brought in upwards of $60,000. And a clipped planchet error with strong eye appeal achieved more than $70,000 in competitive bidding. A bold double strike dime sold for over $85,000, and one of the most memorable sales involved a combination error, off-center strike with clipped planchet, that ultimately closed at $122,900 after a heated auction, demonstrating the intense demand for rare and visually striking error coins. For anyone who comes across a 2011 P Roosevelt dime that looks unusual, whether the design seems shifted, the edges are irregular, there's a visible clip, or doubling appears on the surface, it's worth taking a closer look. Even coins that appear ordinary at first may hold extraordinary characteristics. A dime that once seemed like nothing more than 10 cents could turn out to be a rare collectible worth $42,490 to $122,900, reminding us that even the smallest coins can sometimes hide incredible surprises.